Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. I am here with my friend Melody Kamali. She is a stand-up comedian, writer, and co-host of the podcast Diking Out. You guys have a show at Stonewall coming up.
Yes.
And you have a live podcast coming up soon with Jenna Lyons. Hi, Melody.
Hi, Jess. So good to see you. Thank you for having me. I'm a fan.
This summer, I kept seeing you because you and Carolyn, your co-host, were hosting the L-Word screenings at Henrietta Hudson's all summer.
That's true. Wow. It feels like years ago already.
Does it?
Yeah. Those were wild. They really snowballed.
Like, you had Kate and Leisha come through. You had Ari and Mandy, who plays Danny.
Yes.
And you had our one true love,
Yes.
Sepida Moafi. Well, you weren't there for that one.
No. And I'm furious that not only was I not able to make it, but the reason was because I had to go to a straight, very Christian wedding with my partner. It was her family's down in North Carolina, where I had a meltdown. I think it was fueled by the fact that like I had just found out that they were there too, so I was furious. And then someone said something a little racial to me, and I lost it. I started screaming at family members of hers. I was in a true rage spiral. And now reflecting on it, yeah, it was annoying with the comment made to me, but I really think I was just so upset that I wasn't at Henrietta Hudson's that night.
Oh my God. Tell me about the live show that you guys are about to do. You have one coming up at Stonewall and then the live podcast. What's going to be the difference between the two of them?
Okay, so before the pandemic, Diking Out had monthly stand-up shows at Stonewall. And it's just us double hosting together, doing bits up top, and then straight up a stand-up show, booking our favorite past guests who happen to be stand-up comedians. Sometimes we'll do music. And then for a live recording, it's just an episode of the podcast. It'll be released, too, as a regular podcast episode. This one's going to be at The Wing in Soho, right, with Jenna Lyons. We're so excited. We're going to get into her late-in-life coming out story.
Yes.
And
I love her show on HBO Max.
Me too. I kind of anxiety binged it leading up to this because I'm so nervous about what to wear. So I'm taking all her style tips and I've bought a lot of different potential outfits that I'm still
What are you leaning? Like,
between.
what did you buy?
I mean, like, I don't really go towards the menswear a lot, but I feel like I want to for this. So these like oversized kind of blazers, but I'm trying to figure out the proportions, right? She's always saying, if you're going tight on bottom, go big on top,
Yes.
vice versa. I'm really trying to work around having a D cup and trying to wear menswear in a chic way. So I'm figuring out a blazer situation.
Now, you are a huge Housewives fan. We're going to talk about Salt Lake. So much has happened this week. Like, my head is spinning. We're going to talk about Salt Lake City, Ultimate Girls Trip. Like, we're going to get into the Taylor Swift stuff. But before that, I texted your co-host this week, Carolyn, who's a good friend of both of ours. I texted her. I was walking my dog literally around the corner from my apartment, and I hear a voice that sounds really familiar to me. Like, I was certain it was like one of my friends, like, trying to get my attention. I turn around. It's Natasha Lyonne.
What a voice. Yeah.
Is that not like, that's to me,
iconic.
That is like an A+ sighting on the street.
Yeah. I hope to have it someday. What was she doing?
She was walking with a guy. This is very like Dumois of me. She was walking with a guy, and her hair, this is the interesting thing. Her hair was dyed that bright red color from Russian Doll, which never, because of timing, it never got a season 2 because of the pandemic. It made me think, oh my God, is Russian Doll coming back? Because why would she be walking around with her hair dyed that color?
Why did I think it was coming back? And I thought I saw some Dumois type sightings where people thought she might be filming. I don't want to be wrong on record, but you know what? Dumois is wrong on record a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope there is a second season. I loved that show so much.
I loved Russian Doll, but it did make me think, okay, the only reason her hair would be this color is because she's filming that show.
Interesting.
I knew you'd be into that.
Oh, absolutely. I think we're just going to be agreeing with each other a lot for this sesh. Like, we seem to have very aligned pop culture tastes.
What is your Housewives origin story? Like, how did you get into it?
You know, I actually never even watched that much reality TV up until like maybe 5-6 years ago. My sister, she's a year and a half younger than me, growing up, loved reality. She was always watching The Kardashians. She was watching Orange County Housewives. So I would be aware peripherally about like these women, but I never really watched it. It took me having a flamboyant gay male roommate who watched everything on Bravo, like every offshoot, every, Married to Medicine, all of it. So he sort of guided me to New York. He told me to start with New York. I started from the very beginning. I had just moved to New York. I was very depressed. There's that year. If someone's new to New York, everyone says you just have to survive that first year. It is very depressing. I just filled it with Bravo. And there was something really comforting about watching RHONY while I had just moved there. So it like made me excited about New York in a way.
I love that.
I was enjoying from the bowels of my basement apartment.
Where were you living? You and this guy, where was the apartment?
It was in Bed-Stuy, Bushwick-y in Brooklyn.
I'm trying to visualize. Okay.
Yeah, it was a ground level apartment where illegally there was our quote unquote bedroom, my bedroom on the basement floor. So like a windowless, like dark hole that I just devoured all of RHONY. I moved on to Beverly Hills. I binged all of that. Like from the beginning, all of it. I still haven't watched Orange County. I've seen episodes here and there because my sister are roommates. So that's like the last frontier for me, Bravo-wise.
And what non-Housewives shows are you currently watching on Bravo?
Non-Housewife on Bravo?
Yeah, like do you watch like Vanderpump Rules,
yes.
Summer House, Winter House?
Yeah, I'm starting Vanderpump Rules now, actually.
Wait, you've never seen Vanderpump Rules?
No.
Melody,
I know.
This is peak Bravo. Okay, I'll say this to you. Vanderpump Rules and New York at their heights matched each other.
Really?
For a while there, Vanderpump Rules was the best show on television. Period.
Okay. See, I still have so much to learn. I was talking to a comedian, Lisa Traeger, a couple weeks ago, arguing the case that all of the housewives are bisexual. That might be problematic. I say it a lot.
Why is that problematic?
Oh, maybe I think because we just had a bisexual writer on our podcast saying that it is problematic to say everyone's a bisexual because it means, in fact, no one's a bisexual. Whatever. It's all in jest. But yeah, Lisa Traeger told me, she's like, well, are you watching Vanderpump Rules? And I was like, I haven't. She's like, why not? That is the most bisexual of the Bravo shows. And that's all I needed to hear. So I'm embarking on Vanderpump Rules. You came on our podcast last summer and told me I need to watch Summer House. I immediately binged it from the beginning. You told me I didn't even need the first couple seasons. I don't care. I devoured that. I loved it. So now I'm obviously watching Winter House.
What do you think of, very quickly, what do you think of Winter House?
I think it's so much fun. I do. But I haven't watched Southern Charm. So
neither. Wow, we are so aligned. I've never seen OC and I've never seen Southern Charm.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So someone told me I absolutely have to watch Southern Charm, but they didn't tell me where to start. That might be one that I don't start from the beginning. Things are opening up again. Because I finally knocked off Atlanta and Potomac from the beginning.
Oh, good.
In lockdown. So I'm just, making my way through the catalog. But I think Winter House is just like good, mindless fun. There's something like comforting about it.
Same. I think it's like a good palate cleanser to all the housewife stuff, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we need to have fun.
There need to be some shows that aren't following like a criminal investigation.
Right. It's getting very dark.
So have you been watching Salt Lake City all along?
Yeah, started immediately from the beginning, was excited for it. It had been delayed, right? I was excited for a new franchise I could get on the ground level up on because I felt like such a, newcomer to all the other cities. that I was tuned in for the premiere.
What were your expectations leading into this week's episode? Because I'll tell you, I don't follow a lot of Bravo accounts. I feel that everything is overhyped. All of these influencers get the screeners and they're like, oh, there's something at minute 47. But it's like, I don't want to hear don't tease me anything. I want to be able to be the judge and jury on whatever creative content is out there. I want to form my own opinion. And then once you have seen it, be able to be like, hey, what did you think of this thing as a whole? And then we can dissect it. So I am sort of very anti-hype. So that having been said, I was very excited, and this exceeded my expectations.
Me too. I was obviously excited. You know, Andy Cohen was making the rounds and saying this was the best episode in Housewives franchise history. So like my expectations were high, and it delivered. It exceeded my expectations. The timestamps, the editors need an Emmy. The music, all of it. Like it was just such a production. I was on the edge of my seat. I watched it and then watched it again when they played the rerun later that night.
When I DM'd you, I'm like, hey, like, do you want to come on the podcast? We can talk about Salt Lake City. You were like, oh, I just watched it for the second time. I'm like, wow, you were ready to go with this. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say I liked everything except the footage of Jen Shah's, the kids, her son, her nephew.
The Nest Cam footage outside
How
her
did
house.
They even get that?
She must have given it to them. She's the only one that would be able to supply that. I think
that was
she's
shocking.
Going all in. I mean, the fact is she continued filming after all of this. She's here for the applause, I think. I actually was repulsed by her from the minute I saw her on screen in season 1. I find her to be dangerous. Like, she's violent, she's volatile. I find her to actually be the thirstiest casting they have ever done across any franchise. I can't even, in a way, I almost can't even believe she was cast because she was so inauthentic.
So inauthentic in her attempts to be through and through like authentic housewife, like playing the game, getting the house, renting the house. Like it was all just so transparent. Like she's clearly a Housewives fan and was just emulating the most extreme parts of all her favorite chaotic housewives. Going 0 to 100. Yeah, a violent housewife, you know? The appropriating Black culture and running around and calling everyone racist and aligning herself so close to Black women, like uncomfortably close. I mean, literally arrested in her box braids. I mean,
I know.
Also, as I guess an ex-Muslim, I am technically Muslim, non-practicing. A lot of my family is. I was always really irked by her. Assalamu alaikum, bitches. Like, I really can't with that. But, you know, she's someone who always was waiting for someone to be racist. Like, she wanted it. She wanted a racist attack so she could add that to her narrative.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel so secure in my initial judgments of these housewives. Like I felt this way before she was arrested, before this news came out over the summer or whenever that was. And so I'm very proud to say that I stand by all of my beliefs. Everything I just said, I would have said a year ago.
Right. Yeah.
So I stand by it, and I'm very pleased.
Watching her try to
judgment.
explain her job on the reunion, I was like, here we go. I was just going to say, I truly also did not understand anything that was happening in this case until Whitney, of all people, broke it down on that bus. Like, I think I get it now. Thank you, Whitney. Who knew?
Like, she suddenly turned into Rain Man. I mean, this is a woman who, with all due, I really thought was a total moron. And she turned into Rain Man knowing every single fact, which how do you suddenly understand the ins and outs of money laundering? I mean, the only way I know about money laundering, one of them made the analogy or one of them referenced Ozark. I don't watch Ozark, but I know about money laundering through Breaking Bad.
Me too. That resonated, that quote from Heather.
I felt very seen with that.
She is the every woman again and again, proving so with that comment. Thank God for Heather in the episode. I felt like really she was anchoring the viewer.
I felt like they all really pulled their weight in different. They all shined. I'm making this observation: the way the fans came with such vitriol toward Erica Jane, a woman who was not charged with any crime, just her mere association to the husband, to Tom Girardi. And I watched an entire season of television with the fans literally screaming. I have friends in my DMs screaming, lock her up. Whereas with Jen Shah, who was legitimately charged with money laundering and fraud, it seems like we're all in it for the fun. And I'm trying to understand why. Is it because we frankly just met Jen Shah 30 seconds ago and we're not invested, whereas we had years of emotional investment sort of into Erica Jane and we were all kind of rooting for her, that she let us down? Like, I'm truly asking the question, trying to understand the psychology of the fan culture around the two of them.
That's true. Everyone's just more concerned with making up their Shah puns, like Shah rest it. Like, it's just camp. It's fun, but it is horrifying. There are so many victims at her doing.
Did you see there's going to be a new Hulu documentary?
Yeah, the housewife and what is it this time?
The Shah Shocker.
See? Like, we're just having fun with all these puns. But I agree with you. We had so many seasons worth of Erica Jane backing up her relationship with Tom. It's just that we're, so much more invested with her, and we feel let down because she's blatantly lied to us, and that's just on record, and we have something to point at and be like, yeah, you lied. Like, we're let down. With Jen, she's someone new. All we knew about her is that she was chaotic, and this just goes along with the theme, I guess. And it's in a way more of the same with her. We're just, more invested. You're right about that, I think. Did you see Stu yesterday? Stu Chains
pled guilty.
Is now pleading guilty.
So does that mean that he's automatically going to prison?
I think so, but just like for less time, or his charges will be lessened, but he's fully putting it out there. We defrauded people, most of which over the age of 55.
We knew what we were doing, and we knew that we were preying on weak, elderly people.
Yeah, but she is maintaining her innocence.
She's going to be in prison for 30 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, God, maybe it is also because we were in lockdown when this happened that I just was so invested. Like, I was on the Zoom hearings.
Wait, the one that didn't it crash at one time?
Yeah, because so many Bravo fans.
You were a true Bravo fucking fanatic if you were doing that.
See, I'm making up for lost time. I wasn't in from the ground up with a lot of them, but I feel like I'm really making up for it.
That is amazing.
You could just hear people in the background cackling.
I remember when Wendy Williams was covering that. She's like, yeah, we tried to call into the hearing. I guess like one of her staffers. I doubt that like Wendy Williams was on the call. But
yeah. That felt like all good and fun to me until Ultimate Girls Trip, where you see Kenya talking about the public nature of her divorce hearings because it's virtual. And then I just felt so guilty.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, yeah. I have so much to say about Ultimate Girls Trip. Let's wait a sec to get into that. But that is a great comparison. Yeah. That tying those two together. Can we talk about Meredith in the bathtub? This is high drag.
High drag, like Grinch drag. Like, like, what? How pruned was she? Well, first, before she even got in, like this maniacal, devilish grin,
the rage,
looking out the window. She was drunk too. Did you notice she was kind of slurring?
I think she's always on something.
Yeah, something.
She's so dissociated from her emotions, and she's always kind of slowed down. I think she's definitely always on something.
Okay, yeah, fair.
The rage she has toward Jen, she hates this woman with every ounce of her being.
Oh, yeah. And there's no way she didn't know. She knew everything as it was going down. Lied.
A producer told her, you're going to get in that tub and you're going to stay in that tub freezing to death.
In your filth.
For 4 hours, multiple scenes. I mean, that's clearly a producer like staged scene that never would have happened naturally.
I just hope they kept it warm. Yeah, I hope they just kept adding hot water because we had the timestamps. I mean, the math is there. She was in that tub for a very long time.
Mary, you're next, babe. Cult leader. I can't wait for that.
The audacity of Mary to say, you know, some people have things coming and you can't do that and expect to get away with it. And you're taking advantage of vulnerable people. Just reading from her diary. Like,
when they played the security footage, like the last, I loved how the episode kept escalating and escalating, and then we would have like a brief little vignette of comedy with like Meredith in the tub, and then it would escalate more, concluding the apex was that last 10 minutes with that new information revealed with the Uber, how Heather Gay put her in the Uber. It would have been great if Heather had taken a screenshot of the Uber stopping a block away. Ooh, that would have been a great receipt to throw up on the screen, because they had the security footage of the guy in her squad leaving with the clutch from Meredith's store.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, she could still pull up that from her ride history, even like this incomplete
for real?
Ride.
Can you?
Yeah, you can go in and find all of your rides on Uber.
Ooh,
right?
I didn't know
do.
That.
I do when I'm, trying to connect some dots on a little, sometimes overserved night. But I think she's just a little more protective of Jen. She's not going against her. She was on Watch What Happens after that, and she's like, I'm going to be a good friend, and a good friend would be there until anything's proven,
I found that to be interesting. Like, she was way more articulate than, say, anybody on Beverly Hills when they were asked about the Erica stuff. Like, it seemed it seemed way more authentic. Like, I believe Heather Gay more than I believe anybody on Beverly Hills.
Same. Me too.
So that aired on Sunday, and then I guess they dropped the Ultimate Girls Trip earlier than planned. So everyone just started binging it at different times. And so it felt like, you know how when you go to the movies and like if you order a popcorn with butter and then you get an M&M a pack of M&Ms and you mix the popcorn with M&Ms. That's literally what it felt like watching the Ultimate Girls Trip on the heels of the Salt Lake City.
Let me tell you, that is the perfect analogy. Very similar to my experience, quite literally, because what a week to be on my period. I mean, I was kicking back, watching, absorbing with my edible, with my Bravo, with my Peacock. So much pop culture outside of Bravo. It was just such a great week to be on your period.
Wow.
But yeah, what a treat. I don't know when that was supposed to come out, but I'm so glad it did early.
It just came out like 2 days early. But
okay.
So this, unlike the Salt Lake City episode, this, honestly, my expectations were below ground. Like, to the point where I was like, yeah, like maybe I'll watch it like a month later. I wasn't gonna like watch it the week it came out. Like, I didn't care because there's so much hype, or I know so much that's gonna happen in the Dorinda one, the Berkshires one, and that is like
that. Yeah, I'm more excited for that.
It's confirmed excellence. And so when all of a sudden I kept hearing, oh, it's actually really great, like from friends of mine, like legitimate friends of mine, not just like Twitter influencers that I don't care, like people whose opinions I really respect. Yeah. And so my expectations were below ground, and so obviously this exceeded them. Now, I will say, to be honest, I think this is a bit overhyped. I think it's just because it's so much better than what we were expecting.
Yes. It's also, they were Instagramming so much, and things.
I hate that when they do that.
You're right. I didn't, like you, I like to go in pure. I don't like to read too much of the speculation or the Bravo accounts, but they themselves were posting so much from shooting, and then, things were being leaked as we're now seeing on the show. But in real time, I felt like I was already getting like, oh yeah, Ramona's trying to get a better room. What else is new? But I was not prepared for a lack of a fourth wall. Like, I love it. That's what makes the show for me. The fact that they're talking about housewives.
The fact that they're self-reflecting on being housewives.
Yeah.
I don't think really has ever been done before. And so that's what makes it feel very fresh.
Self-reflecting, also reflecting on each other's shows. The fact that like they're fans of each other's cities. Like when someone will bring up something that happened, that one of them will be like, "Oh yeah, that was rough."
Except Ramona, who doesn't appear to have watched anything.
No, well, we know she definitely doesn't watch Atlanta, because how many times did she call Kenya?
Portia.
Not Portia. As I blink.
What do you think of the casting? Like, I know initially when the cast was announced, when they were filming, I was like, wow, this really is not who I don't care about these people. This isn't who I would have cast. If you could sort of have the pick of all the franchises and you would choose 7 people, or you don't have to necessarily stick to 7, like who would have been your dream cast for this?
Nene Leakes, first and foremost. I'm a huge Nene fan. I want Dorinda, but this was we're going to get her in the Berkshires. Maybe, yeah, Potomac girls. Like, I would have loved to see, like, Giselle and Karen. That would have been a lot of fun.
So initially it was announced that it was going to be Ramona and Sonia because they're the dynamic duo on all the vacations. Do you like that it wound up being Luann and Ramona?
Yeah, Sonia, I feel she's making me sad lately. I know exactly what would have happened.
Too much. She would have been doing too much shtick.
Yeah, too much shtick. Just spiraling to a point where it's just not fun to watch anymore. So I am glad Sonia isn't there.
I am loving Kenya on this series. And I understand that she can be relentless on Atlanta, but I just love that you're seeing sides of these characters that we've never seen, quite frankly, on their individual shows. Like, even Teresa has given us more depth on a few episodes of this than really she's at. This is the first time she's ever mentioned the word jail.
I know.
That scene of her and Cynthia walking was like, it was so real and honest, and talking about how she didn't feel anything when she saw Joe in Italy. Like, nobody is asking these questions.
That blew me away. She never goes there. And when they were asking her these questions, I was, my butt cheeks were clenched. I was ready for her to flip out. Like, but she just so gently and eloquently expressed her feelings, and we never see that.
She seems to be in a very open state of mind.
We're seeing yoga Teresa on this trip, which I love. We got glimpses of in recent seasons, but I'm loving it.
I loved the scene also of Ramona and Teresa bonding over the fact that they were both buyers for Macy's.
Oh yeah,
and Ramona
they both went to the other side for Calvin Klein.
Ramona like telling us how like Teresa's, you know, like actually bright after all. You have to know how to do math to be a buyer.
That was great.
I really enjoyed seeing these two people who, you know, they're a bit older, just sort of having like these natural conversations the way you would when you're kind of meeting somebody the first time. Like, so like, what was your first career? Like, what have you been doing in your life?
What a treat.
Now, I will say, here I'm going to give you some criticism. The production value is totally bizarre to me.
Just from the opening credits.
The theme song with lyrics, the Housewives After Dark is so cringe to me.
It is.
It's like not, first of all, I do want taglines. Thank you. And those confessionals that they're doing in the house, although it's really only Cynthia and Kenya, it seems, that are doing those, it reminds me of like on The Real World. It feels very dated.
Yeah, like an MTV reality show meets like Love Island. Do you like that they're contrasting the confessionals? Like putting them like split screen so they're kind of like answering to each other's shade a little, or?
It's more like I'm fascinated by it. I can't say that I like it or not because it's so strange. And I'm also thinking, so are they playing back like clips of what somebody said about the other and then just capturing them, like listening to it and then they react? Like, I'm thinking like, how is this actually filmed? It honestly I think it takes me out of the show.
Yeah, same. Because I used to work in production, so I'm like constantly like thinking of the logistics of it too.
Wait, where did you work in production?
In Chicago, I worked as a producer. But in Chicago, there's not that much like industry there, so it'd be a lot of like ad stuff. But then when I moved here, I freelanced around. Oh, you'll love this. I almost became a casting producer for Shed Media, and they produce New York. But this was for a VH1 show, and I got through these rounds, and I was like close, and it was so cringe. I was like, I also am a comedian, and I was like, this would take over my whole life, and they were trying to sell me on it. They're like, but you get to go on the cast trip to Morocco. But
wait, tell me the interview process. Like, what are they asking you? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Walk me through this.
So I had never been a casting producer because, again, in Chicago, there's no like TV shows. So they were trying to see if my skills would be transferable to casting. You're trying to get stories out of the women. You're trying to get them drunk. And it was a lot of role playing with the executive producer. Like he would mastermind a situation where we're trying to get certain information out of a woman, and he would have me like walk through a day with this person, what I would do with them, probing questions I would ask them. It was a lot of that. And what turned me off from it was I was interviewing with a white man, and this was a predominantly black show where he was putting on a black scent. And really doing these like caricature impressions of black women. And I was like, I don't feel good right now. Like, and I was like, oh, I see you're really trying to get me to feed into a lot of stereotypes. And
what was the show?
Drink throwing. It was
did it ever air?
Love and Hip Hop.
Oh.
I won't say what city, but
wow.
I mean, if you look into so I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with production. Like I moved here to pursue comedy. So I also video edit, and I moved more into that like freelance editing stuff and put production behind me. You're like the first one on set, your last one got, it takes over your whole life. And though a trip to Morocco with a bunch of rappers' girlfriends would have been fun, I don't know if it would have been worth just a year of sleep deprivation and problematic behavior. I don't know.
That is fascinating. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else about the girls' trip?
I mean, you messaged me about the meta commentary on Bethany and Luann's relationship. Yes. I'm glad we got that. Like, I never thought about it, and maybe that's because that season I watched when I wasn't thinking so critically about these shows, but that is fucked up. Like, now we know, like, Bethany could have easily taken
She didn't
Luann
give a shit.
aside.
She was trying to make good TV.
Yeah. I just love to move over, Zuckerberg. This is the metaverse. Ultimate Girls Trip is the metaverse right now. I'm loving the commentary on the Housewives. I'm loving them singing Waking Up in the Morning. Like, it's just so much fun. I'm loving it. But I am excited for the all villain season 2, right? Like Brandy, Phaedra, Jill Zarin.
Oh, I love Jill. Don't put some respect on Jill Zarin's name.
I mean, I meant she's not a villain is what I meant. Like, I'm excited to see her. Or maybe I've forgotten how much of a villain she can be. We'll see.
Now, the other thing I mentioned to you that I wanted to chat about. So this is interesting. Never in my life did I ever think that I would be talking about Taylor Swift on this show, because I am not a Swiftie by trade.
Neither am I.
And you said you're not either, but your girlfriend is and has been playing Red, in parentheses, Taylor's version, in your home nonstop?
Yes. She loves her, has always loved her. I am so afraid to talk about her on the record because Swifties are terrifying people. Yeah. I mean, my girlfriend's not a Swiftie in that way. She's just a big fan of the music. I've grown to respect her as an artist. It's just not my go-to. But yeah, she's been playing it and crying. I mean, we're already listening to the Sad Girl Autumn 10-minute version of All Too Well. We now have 3 versions of this song in rotation in my home.
Now, I never heard the original. I've never listened to the original Red, aside from the singles that are out, like We Are Never Getting Back Together, whatever. Yeah. So I had never heard, I'm certainly not going to hear a deep cut All Too Well, in 2012 when this originally came out. So this is all news to me. I knew she dated Jake Gyllenhaal all of that. I know she dated John Mayer, which that's incoming because she's about to re-record. I guess Speak Now would be next. So like he's in for it on the next one. But I will say, me, somebody who pretty much ignored Taylor Swift her entire career, she really did her job of entertaining me last week with the shenanigans around all of this. I cannot believe I watched the 10-minute video. I watched her SNL performance. Yep. Like, I fully submerged myself in this decade-old 3-month relationship.
Jess, I cried. Again, on my period. Like, this is what I mean by what a week to be on your period. Like, all of the Bravo, the Housewives, the girls trip, and then the Taylor drama.
Your girlfriend, this is really a question for her. What is your girlfriend's opinion of these newly recorded tracks? How did they stack up against the originals?
I was very interested because I'm like, what is the deal? What is the hype? So after we listened to the Red re-release, Taylor's version, we put on the old album and like side by side played songs.
Here we go. This is what I want to hear.
Yeah, the production is, I think, superior, and there's
in the new one.
Yes, and there are new songs. So we have new songs that were never on the original. So there's a lot of parentheticals on these song titles. It's the song name, Taylor's version, and then some songs have From the Vault. And if it's from the vault, it's from when she was writing the album. She writes a lot of songs and then she pares them down for the album and thinking she'll put them on another album. But then there's an entirely different theme for the next album, different vibes. So she'll scrap them and they've just stayed there in that vault. So it's just a lot more music, tweaks.
How has her
twangs.
Voice evolved over the decade?
This is when I started to cry. This is when I started to cry. You could just tell, like, she's just singing from a different perspective and reflecting on where she was as, like, a child dating a full adult. Like, that is not traumatic, but, like, there is clearly, like, this knowingness she's singing with. Her voice is better. I think her voice just gets better as she progresses as an artist, but, like, there's some... This is weird. I would never like willingly, but like when my girlfriend leaves the apartment, I'm putting Red on. You know, like I've been listening all week. It's strange. And maybe I've been bullied into it. I did, there's a lot of Taylor's gay discourse out there and hosting a lesbian podcast. Oh, yeah. Gaylor. They call it. Okay. So a lot of lesbian. Oh, just type in Gaylor. Go on TikTok. There's a lot of theories out there linking her to like Karlie Kloss and a number of women. So I said on our podcast last year, I don't think she's gay because that discourse ramped up when Folklore came out because she's singing folk songs and she's singing from different perspectives. So she's singing from the perspective of someone who loves a girl, but like she's singing from a man's perspective. She's doing a Bob Dylan kind of thing, and storytelling. But this invigorated the Taylor is gay discourse. And so everyone was asking us to weigh in on Diking Out. And all I said was, I don't think she's a lesbian. I think she's a storyteller who was telling folk tales.
And what happened
but I respect her as an artist, but I'm not really a Swiftie. And we got spammed with 1-star reviews. Hate mail from Swiftie listeners. Lost patrons. So I'm just so afraid to talk about her in any forum.
Wow.
So maybe I am playing it up right now. I'm like, loved it. Listen all week.
Yeah, I mean, are you like straight
Swiftie
up lying?
Life.
Are you lying to me?
Yeah, I'm lying through my teeth. No, I'm kidding. I got into it because I watched SNL live. I watched that 10-minute performance and was like, that rocked me in a way. And that I settled into the album. I watched the film. I will say, please don't come after me, Swifties. That the short film was not it. I mean,
the movie, the video,
the 15-minute one.
I watched a 10-minute thing.
Oh,
the one with them fighting in the refrigerator.
Okay,
they're clearly yelling "fuck" at each other.
And that's the part I can't get down with. I was like, who let them improvise for this long?
They seem like amateur actors. Who knows? Who knows
Yeah,
what's happening?
yeah. And I didn't even realize that that's the girl from Stranger Things, by the way. So, yeah, there was something about that video. I listened to Bitch Sesh yesterday, and Casey Wilson kind of captured it. Like, her and her husband watched it and were just dying laughing the whole time over this like secondhand embarrassment. That I felt a little of that cringe factor, probably mostly during that fighting. Otherwise, I'm enjoying it. I watched the other video Blake Lively directed. Who knew? What an auteur. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you for that review, our guest reviewer, because I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. So no, thank you. This is illuminating to me. There are so many easy ways to live a more sustainable lifestyle. Things like making sure to shut off the lights when you leave the house, thinking twice before going shopping, and donating unused items. Sustainable shopping is important, but doing the research can be hard. Tentree sells lots of products, including clothing, underwear, outerwear, activewear, and more. And for every item purchased from Tentree, they plant 10 trees. Oh, I get it. That's where the name of the company comes from. Tentree equals 10 trees. I get it. These help to take carbon out of the air, replenish ecosystems, and give jobs to tree planters in communities around the world. I love their sweatpants, joggers. I love their hoodie. Super comfortable. And it makes me feel good to know that my purchase is going toward a really great cause. To learn more about Tentree's planting mission and to grab some really comfortable, sustainable clothes, check out their website at tentree.com, TENTREE.com, and use the code DEEPDIVES and get 15% off your first order. Again, it's tentree.com. Use the code DEEPDIVES and get 15% off your first order. Are you a fan of Love Life on HBO Max?
I haven't. Everyone tells me I need to watch it. They're saying the season 2 is so good. I haven't seen any of it.
I need to go on a thing about this. I am fully obsessed with Love Life. You will bang through this in a day. Okay, sure. so basically there's 2 seasons out. The first season stars Anna Kendrick. She's an executive producer. And the second season stars William Jackson Harper from The Good Place. Now, it's an anthology series. Each season is going to focus on one character. So, as like the star of the show. So the first season is Anna Kendrick. And each episode details one relationship in this person's life. Whether that relationship is 6 months, 6 years, or a one-night stand, you will see the full relationship in each episode. And it goes chronologically through, maybe a 10-year span of their life.
Gotcha.
I loved it. My friend recommended it to me right before season 2 came out. I had never heard of this show. And she's like, you know what you would really love? Love Life on HBO Max. And I started it one night and I finished it the very next night. And then by coincidence, it just turned out that season 2 was premiering like 2 weeks later. So I've been able to just consume it all. And now, of course,
I love it when that happens.
I finished season 2. Like, I just blew through that. So if there's any like scripted show right now to recommend, I would say it's that. Are you excited for the new Sex and the City?
Oh yeah, I loved Sex and the City.
Did you see that headline, the Daily Mail headline? Cynthia Nixon. I can't believe I didn't write this. Cynthia Nixon rocks a plaid shirt and jeans while filming, and just like that, Sada Ramirez, after fans speculate Miranda Hobbs is queer.
Yeah, the plaid shirt.
This was my prediction when they first announced the show. I did an episode with Laura Marie Shaneholes, who's another huge Sex and the City fan, and I said, Miranda has to be. There will be no excuse if Miranda's not gay in the reboot.
Yeah.
And it seems like our dreams are coming true.
I mean, you've probably seen the photos of Sarah Ramirez with their hand resting on Miranda's arm, the outfits. They're so close. And then the picture of them in a bar or sort of maybe some queer space. Like, everyone's talking about how like intimate it looks, them sitting close across from each other, but I'm looking in the background and I'm seeing a green mohawk. I'm seeing queers in the background there. So they're probably at Hens.
I got the impression that Sada Ramirez's character is, I know that she does the podcast with Carrie Bradshaw, so that's how her character's introduced. So it makes me think that she's a comedian of some kind.
Oh no, they've said they are a comedian, a stand-up comedian who also co-hosts Carrie's podcast.
Okay, there you go.
So
okay, we have all the information now.
I know. Look at all they're a bisexual stand-up comedian. I'm getting all the representation. I'm so excited. But I mean, if we're just basing sexuality off clothing from what we've seen so far, wouldn't Carrie be queer? Because you saw that Willy Wonka meets Paula Poundstone getup, and that was some of the most extremely homosexual clothing pairings I've seen.
Tell you, they're still filming this goddamn show. I just saw
your Instagram story.
Yeah, I was walking yesterday in the West Village. They're fucking filming outside of San Ambrose. How are they? They have been shooting this thing since June. How are they? And it's premiering in a few weeks. How are they not done yet?
Right.
What are they filming? There's nothing left.
Are they just like, oh, we got to take that scene again? There are too many fans flooding the background.
It was some. None of the main girls were there. It's like a new character.
Oh, gotcha. I love how gay HBO Max is getting. Did you hear about this 12 Dates of Christmas? I just got screeners for it. I haven't seen it yet.
12 Dates of Christmas?
Yes.
What is this?
It's like 3 sexy singles try to find their match to bring home in time for the holidays.
Oh, I'm into that. Remember how bad Happiest Season was?
Yeah, that was an offense.
How could they fuck that up?
By having a straight woman co-write it?
I don't know. I feel like Clea Duvall would have her shit together.
Yeah, that was weird. There's a lot of discourse around Tampa Baes right now, the lesbian reality show, and I binged the screeners immediately.
Do I need to watch this?
I mean, you like reality TV, so I say yes. What we're seeing right now is a lot of lesbians, queer people watching the show who are just, obviously desperate for any relevant media and representation. And they are disappointed because I think they're also just not reality TV watchers. They're just watching because it's a lesbian show. And so there's a lot of critique like, oh, I'm so pissed that they're reducing themselves to oversexed party girls, or there's been accusations of colorism with the casting, but people don't realize it wasn't a cast show. It was an existing friend group in Florida, in Tampa Bay, that had reached out to a production company.
Okay.
And that's sort of how so no one was cast like that, didn't know them, that wasn't already in their friend group. So
how does Tampa Baes compare to The Real L Word? Which is more entertaining?
The Real L Word, I wish I would be able to make that call once there's another season, because Tampa Bay's filmed in a pandemic. There was only so much they could do.
Okay.
They did bring some dramatic storylines, but they weren't allowed to film with anyone who wasn't them. If they went to a club, no one could approach them. They were being tested. They were doing as much as they could outdoors in the middle of summer in Florida. So they're sweating with mic packs on them. They're just trying their best. But I love it.
Is it funny? Is it charming? Are there good characters?
It's funny. There's
what does Carolyn say? Is she into this?
She's into this, and she's not even a reality fan.
What does your girlfriend like it?
She hasn't watched it yet. She's actually has a chip on her shoulder about it, because I brought up, once I saw the Deadline article that this was going to be a show this past summer, I talked about it on the podcast immediately about how excited I was, and so then this was before all the colorism accusations, and a lot of people are just shitting on it. Autostraddle, go to their Instagram. They posted what I think is a reckless quote unquote review of the show, where they invalidate all of the POC cast members. They call all of them white. There are mixed cast members. There is a Native American cast member, but they're not dark enough for the writer, and the writer just goes on and calls them all white, doesn't even refer to their ethnicity, calls them backgrounds. And I'm obviously triggered as an Iranian. There's an Iranian cast member, and just not acknowledging that this isn't ethnicity, and that is diversity. And the show does a good job about going into the family life and the coming out stories and the depth of these characters, which I do like. But yeah, Carolyn likes it. She got to meet them. She went down to Girls in Wonderland.
Oh, I heard all about that.
Yeah, and partied with them. So, my girlfriend doesn't want to watch it because she is convinced one of them was hitting on me. So after I mentioned it, and then all this discourse came out about how it's a colorist, fat-phobic, ableist show because it doesn't represent everyone in every marginalized community, right? Cuppy, one of the cast members, messaged me, DM'd me saying, thank you so much for being nice, and giving us a shot. And we were on our way to Fire Island, the ferry. I got so excited one of the cast members DM'd me that instead of paying attention and giving the correct address to the ferry on Long Island to my girlfriend, I accidentally gave her some address in Queens. And we were driving in the wrong direction. I'm furiously, so excitedly DMing with Cuppy and sending screenshots
Melody,
to my friends.
Melody, how do you confuse an address going to Fire Island out on Long Island with Queens?
I genuinely have no idea. I think right as I was telling her the address to put in to the Waze, that message must have just come in because I disregard my girlfriend immediately, and I'm furiously DMing and let's hang out. Oh my God, we got to get you on the podcast.
This must be when how the housewives feel when Rihanna follows them.
Yeah, this was my Rihanna Cuppy.
This was your Rihanna moment.
So she won't watch it now because we finally miss a good chunk of our first day with our friends, Cherry Grove, and they're all aware of the show. They're TV people, and they're oh my God, so you were DMing? And they're all trying to read it, and they're wow, there's a lot of ellipses. Looks like she's flirting with you. And my girlfriend's sitting there fuming. So now I got the screeners. I mean, at this point, it's out. She wouldn't watch the screeners with me, and I'm our friends are hosting watch parties. She's yeah, I'm not dying to watch it. And I genuinely think it's because she is very stubborn and thinks that I was she's still not over. She won't let go of things. She's still not over the chaos of that drive to the ferry and the fight that broke out from it.
This is some real personal dyke drama. You guys got to work this out.
I know. We'll get through it.
Melody Kamali, tell everybody where to follow you and the 2 upcoming live gigs you have.
Yes. You can follow me personally at Melody Kamali on all social media platforms. And then Diking Out is at Diking Out on Twitter and on Instagram. We have a link in our bio on our social media for tickets to the Stonewall show. I'm not sure when this comes out, but that'll be on the 29th at Stonewall. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're resuming them monthly. So if you can't catch that one, we have plenty more coming up. And then Jenna Lyons' live recording is actually free. We've worked out a deal with the Wing. Anyone can attend. It's at the Wing Soho.
And what's the date of that?
And that's on the 7th, December 7th. And what time is that going to be at? 7:30. And there might be even free wine. So if anyone wants to come hear Jenna Lyons dyke out about her late in life coming out, it's free.
I'm going to go to both of these shows. So come up to me, go up to Melody.
Yay.
Melody, this has been a blast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Guys, you can follow me, Jess X NYC. Follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives, if you're not already. And thank you, Melody. You're the best.
Thanks, Jess.